Hello everyone and welcome back to another great super cool radio interview. I'm your host as always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before I start talking about my guests, just a quick reminder to like this video if you enjoy it. And make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way to not miss any super cool radio interviews or episodes. I got a great guest who will be joining me momentarily. He is the guitarist for 3 bands, and they are Faster Pussycat, Dorothy, and Budderside. He is Sam Bam Koltun. In this interview, we discuss how he joined each of those bands, his favorite songs to perform for each of those bands, Jurassic Park, and so much more. So let's dive into this interview. Let's go!
Super cool radio.
Before we jump into the show, I want to tell you about our merch store on Threadless. Shop a wide variety of logos with multiple colors and sizes available for each design. Your support is greatly appreciated and helps us continue to make killer content like this episode. Please visit supercoolradio.threadless.com or the link in the description to shop now. I got a great guest joining me at this time. He is the guitarist for Dorothy, Faster Pussycat, and Budderside. Please welcome Sam Bam Koltun.
Where is it? Hey there.
It's backwards for this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But nice to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I appreciate you coming on the show. I know we got quite a bit to discuss. You were in, obviously, as I listed, multiple bands. But before we get to all that, I did read in your Instagram bio that you are a Jurassic Park lover.
Yeah.
So my question for you, and you can feel free to include the Jurassic World's movies if you are a fan of those. How would you rank each Jurassic Park movie from best to worst?
Okay. Well, the best for me teeters between the first one, just because it's such a classic and it was the very first one. And even though I hear a lot of people dislike the third one, for me, it teeters between 1 and 3, just because for some reason 3 has always been kind of my favorite also. But for this, I'm going to go with how I'm feeling today is the first one is the best. Number 3 is the second. The Lost World will be third, and then the Jurassic Worlds are all kind of interchangeable because I almost look at it as 2 separate things. The recent one was really cool. The one that just came out last year was really cool. All the dinosaur stuff was kind of epic, and so I guess I'll put that 4th, and then the other 2 just can flip-flop for last place.
No, I got you for sure. I haven't actually. I haven't got to see all of them. I've seen the first one and I've seen the third one. And I haven't seen. I don't know, for some reason I skipped the second one. I don't know why, but those are the 2 I've seen. I've enjoyed both of them. I thought they're very well done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge movie person. I'm trying to get better at that. It's not for any particular reason. I've just always only played guitar and done gigs, and I guess I forgot about everything else in life. So it's not for any particular reason. It's just so I'm trying to get better. Like I watched all the Scream movies and then went and saw the new one, and trying to get better about that.
No, I got you for sure. I mean, you were definitely obviously very focused on your career and playing guitar. And I know, as I said, you're in a bunch of different bands. So to do that, you have to obviously kind of focus on that part of your life. But I'm glad you are focusing a little bit on the movies as well, and you got to see all the Screams. I've always seen the first 3. Again, I feel like I'm incomplete with a lot of movie series that like I start it or I watch a few and then I'm like I kind of just forget about it until like years later. So that's kind of just how I am.
Yeah, I mean, that's me too. In all these different social situations, talking to different humans on the daily basis is just kind of like, after a certain point, I'm like, ooh, I have no idea what's going on here. Like, I have all these, things that kind of seem like normal things that people do. People watch movies, all these different cultural things that people are drawn to. So just that's one area of my life I'm trying to improve on, I guess.
No, I gotcha. Or sometimes, like as with my interviews, sometimes people mention something and oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. And then like after the interview, I do my research. Like, okay, at least I was sort of right on that. But
Right.
never for music. Like I always try to study up on the person's music. It's usually more like the movies or pop culture or something. Sometimes I do that, but
Right.
I don't want to just say I have no idea what you're talking about because they're a guest on my show. But sometimes, at least social situations, I go, I'm completely lost. I'm just going to stand here and smile while this person talks.
There's so much that can be accomplished by just smiling and nodding.
Exactly. So moving away from the movies, because I did want to talk about. So Sam, you currently live in Los Angeles, correct?
Yes.
So when did you move to LA?
Actually, this year is 10 years. So in
Congrats.
2013. Thank you.
Right on, 10 years in Los Angeles. Very nice.
Survived. Survivor.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I've heard. It's what some people tell me is you don't just live there, you also survive. But
I love it here, though. I love it here. There's certainly aspects that are crazy and always have been, but I really, really love it. It's home for sure now.
I'm glad you've made Los Angeles your home and you've been there for 10 years this year. So very happy for you with that. So like outside of music, what's kind of your favorite activities to do in LA?
Really just kind of getting out and walking and like hiking, especially. Really like doing that. There's a lot of places around where I live to do that, where it's just kind of walking distance even. Or it's really that, or going out, hanging out with friends, seeing shows, going to the Rainbow, which I did last night. It's really kind of teeters between those couple things.
Oh, right on. Definitely. It sounds like a really great time. Who'd you see? Was there any shows at the Rainbow or you just went there to hang out?
No shows, just went to hang out with some friends, and after rehearsal last night, went to go get some late night chicken soup. Their chicken soup's amazing. And so just went to hang with some friends, my bandmate Logan, who's also staying at my place right now. So yeah, just went to hang out.
Oh, right on, right on. Well, if anytime I'm in LA, I'll definitely have to check out their chicken soup.
Oh, definitely. I mean, most stuff is really great at the Rainbow. The pizza is certainly a legendary thing, but the chicken soup has always kind of been something that is really, really good.
I'm gonna make a mental note when I ever eventually get to visiting LA. The furthest west in the U.S. I've been is Minnesota. So if you can tell, I live in the Midwest.
You certainly do.
But I did want to talk about because I read that you partake in a lot of local LA events, including Soundcheck Live, Ultimate Jam Night, and the Sunset Jam. How'd you get involved in those events?
Some of those occur still, like Ultimate Jam Night's still an occurring thing. Some things haven't completely come back since all the shutdowns and everything, but those kind of came about when I first even moved to LA. There was before the Ultimate Jam became what it is, there was a small jam at this place called Lucy's 51 in Toluca Lake. And I started playing for the first band I started playing for in LA. The singer was really nice and took me under his wing because he knew all the guys who would do the jams, and it took me out because I came from living in St. Louis, Missouri, where I would play 4 to 5 nights a week, the entire night, like 9 to 1. 4-hour cover gigs where you take 2 30-minute breaks, but you're playing like 30-40 songs a night, that kind of thing. And so moving to LA, I was kind of going crazy a little bit because I moved to go to school, and we can get into that or whatever. But so going out to these jams were really kind of therapeutic and cool to see, because it was different guys from different bands like Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses and Chuck Wright, who was in Quiet Riot at that time, and uh, all these different guys who'd been in all these bands, Brian Tishy, who'd been in Whitesnake and Dio and Foreigner. And so got to play at one of those from that singer introducing. It's like, hey, you should let this kid play. So that's kind of how that started, and it just snowballed more and more. Chuck Wright was, very kind to let me play, and then Steve Ferlazzo with Soundcheck Live, when they started doing those, he's somebody who, I mean, still even to this day, I probably, he deserves more credit in that. He's just, the guy is such a perfectionist that the detail, I know I'm getting a little long-winded on this, but so those two guys for sure, I really am thankful for the opportunities.
Oh, it sounds like a really great experience, especially like just moving out to LA and then meeting these people and getting the opportunity to perform the Ultimate Jam Night. So how, like, when you moved out to LA, did you ever think you'd be like, performing with these guys and meeting these guys and learning from them?
Not really. I mean, that was crazy to me, that really just showing up. It's like, oh my gosh, these guys from all these different bands are just here jamming together, and then getting to jam with them. Gilby, who now I've come to work with Faster Pussycat a little bit. When I first discovered Guns N' Roses, I mean, I was I was 12, so I got the Use Your Illusion DVDs. I didn't even realize there was a guy before Gilby. I just thought Gilby was so cool. So it was really, really awesome, and still really, really cool that these guys are so supportive and are just really great people.
Oh, definitely, for sure. And I know, as you said, you moved out to LA to as you said, to for your education, to go to school. So what school did you attend, and how did that go?
I went to Musicians Institute, so it's a college for music here in Hollywood, and it was pretty crazy because I was all actually set to go to college in my hometown and not really leave or anything. And then a very close family friend, this guy Buddy Blaze, who's a fairly well-known guitar luthier, guitar maker, and we were at the lake for 4th of July, and he was asking what my plans for college were, and I told him what I was planning on doing, and he's like, well, why are you doing that? You should be going to MI, and you should be going to LA. And because in St. Louis, as much as I'm a very proud St. Louisan and Midwesterner, I guess English, but there's only so far that you can kind of go, so there's the top of the food chain in St. Louis are these couple tribute bands that play a few shows a year, and it's really, really great, but that's kind of as far as you can go. So if you're trying to go further than that, you had to be someplace like here. And the education from MI is certainly one that I wouldn't have been able to get anywhere else. So very eternally grateful that it not only got me here, but then taught me skills that I don't think I would have been able to learn otherwise.
No, I totally got you. Unfortunately, in certain regions of the U.S., there is a glass ceiling for like how far you can go in a certain area, and it's just the area that you're at, But like going to LA, which a huge city with many huge opportunities and many clubs to play, and getting a great education on with that to go along with all the opportunities. I think very great experience. Plus, obviously, I think it worked out very well because with all the bands I listed, I think you're doing quite well right now.
I appreciate it. It hasn't been. It's not just like you just show up to LA and then, hey man, give me a gig. Like you show up, and after 10 years of putting the work in and going out every night while I was in school and I started touring while I was still doing school. It's all a lot of work. I mean, for some people, I guess they just show up and stuff happens, but that hasn't been my case. So
No, I got you. No, and no, that it has to have the hard work has to go along with that, like
yes,
the determination, and to do that. But there's more opportunities if you put in the hard work in LA compared to like the Midwest. That was the point I was going for.
well, and that's why there's these certain places. That's why LA, Nashville, and New York are what they are, because they're kind of these lands of opportunities, and you can make of them what English. The word. Sorry, it's also, I know it's 1 p.m., so it's early for me. But it's all whatever you make of it.
Yes.
I think is what I'm trying to say.
No, I gotcha for sure. No, there's this quote. There was some musician, I said this in another interview, and I forgot to do my research to look up who it was. But they said that it takes 10 years to become an overnight sensation, and I mean, at least from the people I've talked to, your experience, my experience, I think that it's very true in the music industry.
Yeah, everything takes time. Really, it takes time.
Oh, definitely for sure. But I did want to talk about, so obviously, as we said, like hard work, but also and sometimes it does work out. You're at the right place at the right time with everything.
Yes,
But it does. Yeah, again, it does help being what region you are. I know
that's the other 95% of it.
It's that, and like it's like the being in the right place at the right time, plus like all the other work that people don't see behind the scenes.
Yes.
But for you, for moving from St. Louis to LA, was there any like a huge like cultural difference that you noticed, or like a culture shock, or anything that you found just different compared to living in St. Louis?
Oh, for sure. Everything. I mean, I went from living in St. Louis in the house that I grew up in with my parents and my two sisters and dogs, and moving to LA into a studio apartment, living on my own at 18 years old, and this whole getting thrown into Hollywood Boulevard, living off Hollywood Boulevard, basically on a street that was adjacent to that, and then having to walk the boulevard daily to go to school. It was all kinds of culture shock, man. You learn a lot about yourself, kind of just getting thrown into a situation like that. So it was certainly crazy. Yeah.
No, I gotcha. But it's the kind of situation where either like people are going to thrive in it and going to make it work and are determined to make it work, or they're gonna drown in it. But obviously, with you, you're determined to do everything to make it work. So it worked out for you. But it's very interesting with a situation like that. It's either one of two ways for people.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, I don't drink, or I've never had a sip of alcohol, and I've never done a drug or never tried anything like that. So this is certainly a land where all that stuff is prevalent and there. Not that it's not in Missouri, but it's way more of a commonplace here, let's say. And so all those things are basically just right there in front of you, but I've never participated. So that was another certainly a culture shock element to see. It's Hollywood, it's the Sunset Strip. It's not really like it was in 1987, but there's some of those residual effects are still there.
I got you for sure. So some things stick around longer after 1987, and that kind of stuff is definitely one of them.
Yes. Yeah.
But I did want to talk about, so as I listed, you're in 3 different bands for my research, with Budderside, Faster Pussycat, and Dorothy. So which band did you join at first?
Well, Budderside, out of those 3, Budderside was first.
Okay.
But everything has been one thing leads to another. So really kind of when I started playing more and touring more, the first artist that I played for that's kind of what connected me to Budderside, because we had played a show together or two shows together, and they were kind of running in the same circle, and then they needed a guitar player back at the time, and singer Patrick hit me up and was like, we should jam. And I was like, oh, what is this for? And it was for Budderside. So I ended up doing a couple gigs with them, which, thank you to Facebook Memories. The first gigs I ever did with them were 6 years ago, from right around this time. And so that's where that started. And then other things led to the other gigs. So I would still kind of do a bunch of local gigs just as a hired gun. Those three projects are the ones that I'm involved in, but then there's other ones that I will do when I'm in town, and just because playing with friends and people you love to play with and all that stuff. So other gigs led to me meeting Elliot Larengo, who's the bassist for Dorothy, and we would do gigs, and we always had a really great time together. And then from all those jam nights, that's what led to me meeting Ace Vaughn Johnson, who is the guitar player in LA Guns now, but he was the guitar player with Faster Pussycat for about 9.5 years, which is about 75 in normal years. So all those little things led to another. So I was with Budderside first, and then the Faster Pussycat opportunity came, and then the Dorothy opportunity came shortly after that.
Very nice. Very. I think for the chronological order for those, I was going to ask you about how you joined each one, so I'm glad you condensed that into one answer. But and honestly, for those three kind of bands, like they're all in like the rock category, but they all have like different kind of their own styles in rock music.
Completely. I mean, that's my favorite part about, and why I try really hard to keep everybody happy so I can continue to juggle the three. I know there are probably things that are going to come up where I won't be able to be in two places at once, because unfortunately that cloning has not been invented yet. But
not yet.
Elon Musk, come on, man. But that's my favorite thing, and what keeps everything really exciting and fresh is the fact that all three are so different. So starting with Budderside, not for any particular reason, but just because it's fresh in my head, because we just rehearsed last night. And I mean, those are my riffs and stuff now, my music and all of our music together. So that has a certain element that is a part of me that I love. And then the Faster Pussycat thing is just good old rock and roll. And then Dorothy, again, is kind of like good old rock and roll, but then it's somewhere in between. It's got this bluesy thing to it, but this heavy thing, but like I don't really even know how to describe it sometimes. So all three really kind of scratch that itch of like different things that I love. And so it's really fun to get to do all three.
Oh, for sure. Especially three very, very talented, very high caliber bands. And so for like you, do you have to approach like each band kind of different mentally?
It's not really that hard for me. It's just kind of like my brain is like, okay, today I'm doing this. And then, when it's time to do Faster Pussycat, it's like, okay, I'm playing Bathroom Wall, and Where There's a Whip, There's a Way. When it's time to do Dorothy, I'm playing those songs. And when it's time to do Budderside, it's so not really, it's not really a big change of gear, because it's all very like a natural, they're all natural. They feel natural for me to do. Like, it's not like I really have to go and hunker down and do a bunch of work to get back in the mode of doing any of them. I feel like I can, which next month I will be going from doing a Budderside gig to the next day doing a Dorothy gig to the next day doing a Pussycat gig. So really the only challenge is just gear wise, just because a couple things on the pedal board have to be different. That's, but I still play Les Pauls and just play differently depending on the gig.
No, I got you. So yeah, obviously, it's more the gear focus because obviously, as we said,
Yeah,
each band very very much different. With Dorothy, kind of bluesy, hard rock, like everything, pretty much everything in the rock category is Dorothy. And then obviously, Faster Pussycat has their sound, and of
yeah,
course, Budderside. I would say it's probably, I guess, more like hard rock. I guess is a good way to describe Budderside.
yeah.
But so I'm glad for you that you're pretty fluid with all of it, that you're able to kind of just go as with next month, as you said, going from each gig each night. So I hope everything goes well for you for that.
Thank you. And I mean, it's definitely. I'm sure that kind of, at least I feel like it has something to do with my upbringing, I guess, in music. How I kind of started playing in bars and playing all these different nights and not having to cover all these different kind of songs and stuff. So that's where I guess that area of my brain has been unlocked to know it's like, okay, to do this for this gig and to do this for this gig and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you got a very good foundation for like and discipline for from doing all those different songs, for multiple days in a week. I think you got a very good foundation to be able to do that now with more original music compared to like cover songs.
It's kind of basically like the same thing, just instead of in a bar in St. Louis, it's sometimes in an arena in front of 10,000 people, or in front of a club in front of 500 people, or whatever it is, and on a professional level and all that, of course. So,
Oh yeah, definitely for sure. Yeah, the bands you were with, and you yourself, very very professional with obviously everything you do for music, discipline, all of that stuff, but very much professional. Even with your hired gun stuff, you have to obviously learn the music if you're not familiar with it, and then perform it as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you. But yeah, I guess, yeah, I said the word professional. I use that term loosely around here, but I, but that's what I'm always striving for. Yeah.
Oh, for sure, definitely. No, I expand. I may have expanded on it a little too much, but I think you get the gist of what I was going for.
Yes.
So and I was curious for you, since obviously with those three bands, do you have a favorite song from each that you like to perform live?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. With Dorothy, it's the song "Down to the Bottom." That's kind of the number one favorite. There's a lot of favorites. On the spring tour last year, we were doing her song "Wicked Ones," which I've always really liked. And I'm also selfishly, I guess, kind of a fan of the song "Made to Die" off the Gifts from the Holy Ghost record that came out last year, because I played on certain parts of that, but that's the one that had the most parts intact, uh, from stuff that ended up getting redone and changed. And so playing that one live is always really fun because it's pretty high energy. And then with Faster Pussycat, "Where There's a Whip, There's a Way" is always a favorite. "House of Pain" is always a favorite, just because everybody usually gets pretty ecstatic over that one, and I just think it's such a great song, and it's really fun to play. And then uh, I guess selfishly a little bit, I do love playing the new songs that we've done that have been put out so far, like with Nola and with "Like a Ghost," uh, just because it's cool to see the crowd react to those songs and be really almost just as excited about those as the ones that the band is really famous for. And then with Budderside, it's probably because we were just rehearsing some last night that we haven't played together yet, but that are out there. So we're trying to get it together to play these new songs at these gigs. So I'll include "Joker" because that's the latest. Well, I guess other than this Power Hour song that came out, it's "Joker" is the latest single. "Voices" is a really fun one to play, and uh, I'm gonna go with uh, a song "Wide Awake," which is off the second record. So
Very nice, very as you said, it's very diverse with each of those bands, but very good picks. Some of my favorites as well from some of those bands. What I really like about Faster Pussycat, like like bands from that era, sometimes they just stick with those classic songs, like they don't record or write any new music. But with Faster Pussycat, they really like they continue to still write and new music and record and put out albums. So I really respect them for that.
We're trying to get some new stuff together. Yeah, Tammy is, he works a little, he says this himself, so he works a little slow, but it's really exciting to get to be a part of a band like that's legacy now with doing this new stuff. And it's really exciting just to get to try to create some stuff that hopefully the longtime fans of the band will enjoy. So.
Oh no, definitely. But so it's always cool, for like some of those legacy bands to still continue to do stuff, even at a slightly slower pace, but they're still releasing and recording new music. But with all those bands, you stay very active. Obviously, with not only the touring, but you said you do record for those bands as well. And I did really like the Joker music video for Budderside. I was watching that last night for writing out my notes, and it just looked cool. Like I saw the clip of you, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow."
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, we I really like. I think we all really like how that video came out, but I certainly really like how it came out. And funnily enough, out of all the music videos that we've done, because it's quite a number so far, that probably was one of the most fun to do, just because oddly enough, it was kind of one of the easiest to do. And then it seemed to kind of turn out the best so far. All those, we've had to do some crazy stuff, just like trying to play in 10 feet of snow, or the Scooby-Doo one where we all had to be the Scooby-Doo characters, or the Never Worth It one where we were in a pool of water, and it was in January and it was freezing. So we've got long johns and stuff under, we're all kind of dressed all like classy and stuff, but under we had trash bags over our socks. I had 2 pairs of socks on, then I had trash bags over the socks, and then put the shoes on to try to not have the water get into the shoes. That shit was brutal, dude. It was like, it turned out really cool because it's like, yeah, we're kicking the water and then we thrash all the instruments and stuff in the water. But so Joker ended up being, as far as videos go for Budderside, it was fairly on the easy side, and certainly very proud of how it came out.
Yeah, it's nice when you don't have to, obviously you can kind of show up and be yourself, and you don't have to worry too much about like water or costumes or stuff. You can kind of just show up. But what is it with like bands and music videos and filming, like using water in music videos and filming it in like December or January? Like I've talked to many musicians and bands, like that's when they do these water scenes, and I'm like, can't you just wait like a little bit when it gets warmer?
I don't know. Stuff's got to get done when it's got to get done. So I don't know. Us trying to adhere to the release schedule that we were or have been doing, and with all of us juggling other projects and stuff, it's kind of like, okay, it's got to happen now. That's when it can happen. Okay. I mean, even that Joker video, I was still on tour with Dorothy. We had 2 days off before the last 2 shows of the tour. And so that was before show 39 and 40. So because it was 40 shows of the tour, and there were 2 days off. So I flew back to LA to do that video, because that's when all the schedules lined up to do it. And it was like, so I guess that was an element of it not being super, super simple, but it was cool just to get to come home before getting to come home. And really the only thing that was difficult about that was having to get up on the plane wing, like those shots up on the airplane wing. And that's just because, like, oh my God, I had to climb a ladder. But yeah, these all, Yeah, I feel like I'm fairly easygoing with stuff. I mean, our singer for Budderside, at least our singer Patrick, is really the mastermind with the video ideas, and that's something that we feel like he really excels in, just trying to do stuff that's unique, and he has a great thought process for that. But yeah, sometimes it involves stuff that it's like, wait, we're doing what? Huh? Hang on, what was that again?
No, with being a musician, you not only have to like perform on stage and do live shows, but also you have to work the artistic element of like for music videos, doing all these different things as as you listed, with like being in water to dressing up to being on top of a plane wing. You have to be kind of easygoing with like how everything's going to go with all that.
Yeah, it all of a sudden turns into so much more than like, wait, I just play guitar, dude. Like it all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, now I'm an actor today. Okay, this is gonna be terrible. Like, but it's really fun. They can be long days, but especially with the next one that we have coming out whenever it gets done, because it's getting close to getting done, but it's all CGI, and it was all done on a green screen for the next single. But they can be long days, but it's crazy to see how they turn out, and that's really big props to not only Patrick, but who Budderside works with as a director, Vicente Cordero. He's really just extremely talented. Him and his whole team are just really great people to work with, and really great at what they do. And I feel like we've had, and it was just completely a fluke thing that we met, but we've had a really good run doing videos with them, and just couldn't be happier.
Oh, for sure. I've checked out some of the Butterside videos. They all look really good. They always encompass the not they always tell the song very well through like the artistic side of the visual side. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the next one, as you said, with the CGI, and I'm curious to see how it's going to turn out.
Me too. but what I've seen so far was pretty cool.
Oh, no, right on. And before I wrap this up, last question that we're talking about your plans are for the rest of this year. So do you ever think there's a possibility like some festival is going to happen and Faster Pussycat, Dorothy, and Budderside are going to play it?
I mean, I would love for that to happen. It's been close once or twice, actually, oddly enough, with like Pussycat was talking about being on one day, and then Dorothy was going to be the next day, and I was like, yo, I'll already be there. You have one less flight to buy, but it didn't happen.
Okay.
But that would certainly be really cool. I love the idea and the challenge of doing the double duty thing, having to do a couple things even in one day. So who knows, that would be really cool to see one day.
Well, I would just like to see it happen. Just obviously, I know it's going to be more work for you, but at the same time, to say that you were able to pull that off, I think would be incredible.
I like the work, and I like the challenge of the thing, and that's why it's, again, even though I already kind of said why it was so fun to do all three gigs, or even some of the bands that I'll do stuff with in LA. There's this band called Analog Party that are really great friends, that it's just the challenge of, at least for them, is there's so many different tunings, and having to play not in like a normal standard guitar tuning, to where if I didn't love Soundgarden, it probably wouldn't make sense to me, but it makes sense to me, and I figure it out. But it's just the challenge and the work is really what excites me and fuels the fire, I guess. As whatever, I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes the train of thought just crashes, and it's going so good, and then it's just like done, And it's like, wait, the sentence isn't over.
Well, you started out good. The train was picking up speed, and then it just came to a stop. Like your brain thought the sentence was over when it really wasn't. But I know what you mean. But
Yeah.
see, with you, like you're up for those challenges. You are very determined and like motivated to do all of this. So like those stuff like might intimidate other people, but like to me, you're like, yes, let's do it. You know, let's bring it on. Let's do it.
I think that's what I was trying to say, but in English, yeah.
That's why I'm the host.
Yeah.
I can smooth out that kind of stuff.
You can translate for the people.
Exactly. That's my job as a host. I have to make stuff not make sense. And I think I did a good job with that. So for you, as I'm wrapping up this interview, what are the plans for Dorothy, Faster Pussycat, and Budderside for the rest of this year, and plans for yourself as well? What are like the goals for the rest of this year for yourself as well?
Just to work as much as possible. Last year, really how stuff worked out, it was, for me, it was the best year ever. I was basically on the road for about 8 months straight. So I'm a little thankful on one hand that there isn't so much like straight touring lined up so far, that it's a little kind of sporadic. But right now, the first thing up is there's a local LA show with Dorothy at the Troubadour here in LA, which I'm really excited about, because out of all the like venues associated with the Sunset Strip, even though the Troubadour isn't actually on the Strip, it's Strip adjacent. That's the one that I haven't played. I've played the Whiskey, the Viper Room, the Roxy, even played House of Blues Sunset before it closed, but haven't played the Troubadour yet. And the show is sold out, and she has some surprises in store. And so just really excited for that for sure. And then there's a bunch of shows coming up, sporadic fly dates and stuff, where there's like radio festivals with Breaking Benjamin and Falling in Reverse and Pretty Reckless on a bunch of these shows. So those are what's next. For Faster Pussycat, we have a couple local LA shows, April 14th at the Whiskey and April 16th at the Rainbow Parking Lot Party. So those will be really fun to do 2 in 1 weekend. And then Faster Pussycat does the Monsters of Rock cruise at the end of April, which I will be joining midway because of bookending the cruise with shows with Dorothy. And then Budderside has a local LA show at the end of April 26th, a KLOS new and approved sponsored show at the Viper Room. And then we do Welcome to Rockville on May 18th. So that's really exciting that we are on a Danny Wimmer festival, because I've got to do a few of those with Dorothy so far, because she's kind of in that pool of artists. And so to get to do it with Budderside, we're very, very excited about that. So that's what's coming up in the immediate future. And more music from Budderside for sure is coming. More music from Faster Pussycat is for sure coming. And Dorothy probably at some point too.
Right on. You got a very busy. You only covered like April and May with that, so I know you're very, very busy schedule.
That's as far as my brain can think.
No, I got to do it. You know, with 3 bands, you got all the dates right for all that. No, I totally understand, but no, it sounds like very busy. But again, that's only like that's like a week, 2 weeks, later, going on for April and May. So. I'm glad you're staying busy, and I do hope you have a great 2023.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me. This was really fun. I appreciate it.
Hey, that's what I go for here in Super Cool Radio. Having fun, having a great conversation. But Sam Bam Koltun, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Super Cool Radio.
Thanks, dude. I don't know what.
It's all good. I'm going to close it out. I will leave some links for all the bands and for Sam Bam in the description of this podcast. Sam Bam Koltun, thank you for hanging out with me. I'm your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.